Hello, it's Josephine Lancuba here, your performing arts business strategist and coach. Today, I have a special guest who is a fellow studio owner, and honestly, she is on fire. She has so many beautiful moving pieces that you are going to learn about. I am talking about Liu Brennan. Rebecca is the proud owner of over 16 years to her studio, Performance Art Western Sydney, aka PAWS. She's also the owner of Dance Circ, which is a licensed program that's in 99 studios at the moment and growing, including moving from Australia to the US. We're going to learn about that as well. She's also seen her studio explode. She received 180 new students in her preschool program in just a short period of 4 years. She now has a 600 student studio. Aside from that, she's got lots of moving pieces, but she doesn't seem phased. She's dedicated to commitment, and she talks about how she stays on top of everything, motivated, and is on fire for growth. So never shy of a new adventure. She's also going to talk about Dance Principles United and what that means to her and the legacy she leaves behind. Gosh, so many things. You're going to hear all about it with Rebecca. Let's leap in. Hey there, I'm Josephine Lancuba, and you're listening to Business, Arts and All That Jazz. I've been immersed in the creative business world and performing arts industry for over 20 years. I know from experience that being an artist, a creative, or running a creative business can be a tough gig, but I'm here to tell you it's possible. I went from having $0 to my name and living below the poverty line, to then living paycheck to paycheck, to finally living a life of comfort, happiness, passion, and even stability. In this podcast, I peel back the curtain and share with you the ups and downs of my journey. Plus, I tap into the minds of creative industry experts to discover their paths to success. I know you have a spark inside of you, that little voice that tells you to reach for the stars. I want to help you step into your limelight, to have the courage to live a life you dream of, a life that you design. So get ready to be entertained and inspired as we talk business, arts, and all that jazz. Hello and welcome to the beautiful Liu Brennan. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Now, we actually met at the Women Online Conference hosted by Tina Tower. I think that was only about a month ago. I mean, funnily enough, it was an event all about online business, which you're going to talk about a little bit later in the piece. But it was an in-person event, which was so special, wasn't it?
It was so great. And there were actually so many studio owners there. Like there was a lot of us there, which is amazing to see that studio owners want to grow and, get better and go to events like that. I loved it.
Yes, and get into the digital space because the industry is evolving so much, isn't it? Especially since COVID. So
absolutely. So important.
Yeah. So important. Now, you've been running your studio for a very long time, over 16 years, in fact. So that's PAWS. And tell me how you came about wanting to even start a studio business. So I'm bringing you back 16 years. What got you into studio ownership?
I think like everyone, I had an amazing journey of dance and I wanted to bring that journey to other people, other kids, and so I was passionate about it, and that literally was it. I was a good teacher. I was doing really well with my teaching, and I just wanted to open a studio. And I was actually teaching at a studio, and the owner said to me, "I want to sell." So I bought her studio and started it from there. Essentially, I think we started with about 70 kids, and we've grown to about 600 kids now. So it's really huge now. But yeah, I think that's the problem though with some studio owners is we go into it without knowing anything about business. That was definitely my problem.
Yeah. And that's interesting that you bought it from someone else. What was that experience like? Because it's amazing because you step into having a client base, but there's also challenges potentially with claiming it as your own. How was that at the time?
Look, I'm going to be honest, we didn't really approach that too well, to be honest with you. So I was teaching full time there. So all the parents and kids already knew me. So that was really easy changeover. But as soon as we stepped in, we changed the name and we changed everything about it and the branding and everything. And a lot of people hated that because they'd been there for a long time and they felt that that was really important to them. So that was a bit of a blow up. But other than that, because I'd been teaching there full time, I think it was pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Now we see a lot of dance studios come and go. And what is it like having to, run a studio for over 16 years? Do you think that the industry's really changed a lot and getting into, the way it was before versus how it is today? Like, what are you seeing is the major shift?
I think I think that just progression is the major shift. And I think, as a studio owner, you've just got to constantly update. And like we were just saying, get into the online space because that's where it's at now. Get into social media because that's where it's at now. Everything's now straight in front of you on a phone. And that's the biggest shift, I think. And, seeing those dancers consistently in front of your face on social media has definitely changed the way we do everything. And I think you've just got to keep going with the changes. When Zoom happened, when COVID happened, we all had to adapt. That's life. I think that's the secret to having a studio long term, is just to consistently adapt.
Yeah. And it's crazy because a lot of those videos come up on your social media of what you were posting 2 years ago. And it was this time 2 years ago that COVID all started. So all of those videos of us like filming at home with the bunny rabbit, hello little ones, and all the stuff that we did. I mean, it's just insane, but it's a testament to how far we've come. And so many studios, unfortunately, they didn't survive that period or just chose to exit because they didn't want to shift. But those ones that have stayed on, I think, have learned so much. So yeah, it's been wild. And I love that you mentioned social media as well, because that's a really big component these days.
It has to be. And you've got to be constantly updating on there, constantly marketing on there. There's no day of the week that I'm not marketing on social media, ever. Yeah. And I think that's so important for us to realize we've got this amazing platform now that we can consistently reach out to our ideal clients.
Do you outsource that sort of activity, or is it something that you take on yourself?
Definitely not. I'm a big believer in delegating everything that you are not an expert in to other people. So I have an agency that I work with all my businesses, and they're amazing. And yeah, they do everything for me. But look, if you're great at that, go for it. But it's just not my jam.
Yeah, it's not my jam either.
Yeah.
I only, no way. I have a digital marketing company that does it for me for the paid advertising. And then when it comes to the actual, just the organic stuff, weekly, daily stuff, I have an admin assistant who posts daily for us. But the only time I actually do post for myself is my personal brand. So anything that's Josephine Lancuba, I do myself just because, that's my voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that. Delegation is the queen of all things. Yeah. How do you stay motivated? You say you've got all of these different things. So from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you've got PAWS.
Yep.
You've got the Cirque. Oh my gosh, I've got it here.
Dance Cirque. Yep.
Dance Cirque.
Yep.
And you've also got Dance Principles United. So there's a lot there.
There's a lot.
How do you maintain that? How do you juggle that? What's that like in your world? What does a day of Rebecca look like?
Look, my days are insane. They're very scheduled, but the thing is, I'm constantly having meetings telling other people to do stuff, and I've got great teams. So it's not me doing, it's me overseeing. And I think that's the key to it. My PAWS team are incredible. They're there now working, and I'm at home. And, my DPU team, Amanda and Nathan, are amazing. And we are doing a lot of the stuff ourselves, but we really plan it well. And then Dance Circle, I've got a whole team for that as well. And I think that's the key. You can't grow your business if you're constantly working in it. It's not possible.
Yeah. Now, aside from that, you've also got a performance company attached to your studio. What does that look like and how does that work?
Look, it's been very quiet for the last 2 years, but the reason that came about is because for my concerts, I do a whole musical story through the concert. So we had all these costumes. So we did Peter Pan, for example, and we had all these costumes for Peter Pan. And then I was like, why don't we put these out there as a pantomime? So I found a company who wanted to do that for me, and we just started putting together these little pantomimes, and we'd have professional singers and a professional narrator, and my kids would do all the dancing and stuff, and it just became a whole thing. So every year when we did a new show, we had a new pantomime. So we've got about 7 or 8 pantomimes with all of those costumes and things. And then through that world, you sort of start to make other contacts. We do like an Easter bunny kind of stuff with Alice. So we do all that Christmassy stuff as well, pantomimes and parades. We just did a gig for Coca-Cola, which was our first gig back, which was so exciting. Look, I think if you want to grow an entertainment company as a party school, it's super easy. You can do it. It's all about building relationships. As soon as you go to something, you've got to talk to people, let them know what you do, see what they do, and then go from there essentially. But yeah, we love it. It's really good for our older kids who are just about to graduate and just about to go on to professional careers because they get that performance experience. Our circus stuff does really well with that as well. So well, now that everything's back, we're getting there, but it's been a while, like I said.
Is it semi-professional, like are the leads paid, or is it just like the kids are volunteers as a part of your studio and you take it on as like an educational experience and training them in the professional space?
Yeah, great question. So leads are paid, definitely. If we get a paid gig like Coca-Cola, all of our seniors were paid for that gig.
That's great.
Generally in the pantomime, the little ones are not paid, like the little babies, but they know that they then grow up and they become the princess who gets paid. So that's the cool part about it. Like in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, one of the kids who was my dwarf then became Snow White. So they see that progression and then they do get paid for it when they're at that age.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're introducing them into that professional world step by step. So that's really cool and inspiring for the little ones as well. Now, when I met you at the conference, you did just throw away a couple of names there, and I'm going to bring them up. I met a lovely lady by the name of Amanda Barr, and she said that you guys were business partners. And I thought that was interesting because you guys have different studios and programs and things running, but you come together on a cohesive brand, which is Dance Principles United. So for everyone listening, tell us about that and how that came about.
Yeah, sure. Dance Principles United actually came about because of COVID. So when COVID hit, I literally cried for a week, and I went to my doctor and I said, I can't stop crying. You need to help me. And she gave me antidepressants, and I took one and I hated it. And then I was like, right, I need to change my life around. So I decided to open Dance Principles United and just get help essentially and talk to other studio owners on there, because I knew the only people who knew how I was feeling was other studio owners. So that's literally why I started it. I also was on the forefront of Zoom. My partner was really into China and what was happening there. So I knew this was going to happen over here. So I'd already organized Zoom. So I started doing lives on Dance Principles United, saying to everyone, hey, this is how I'm doing Zoom. How are you doing it? How can I help you? That's literally how that grew. Amanda and I met at business conferences, and we loved learning about how to build our studios. And so when Dance Principles United became so big, I said to her and Nathan, why don't we help other studio owners to become big, to have the studio of their dreams? And that's how it started. So all thanks to COVID, really, at the end of the day. But yeah, that's it. That's the story of it.
So it started as like a volunteer project, which then eventuated. And now you're running like paid live events where studio owners can actually come in, be educated, build a community. So it's really evolved from that first inception of just reaching out, hasn't it?
Yeah, totally. So we started with doing a summit, which was just a one day come in and we'll talk to you. And we were having dinner the night before at the summit. And I said to Amanda and Nathan, why don't we do a closed Facebook group where these guys can learn this stuff every fortnight? They can ask questions. And so that's what we started. Literally.
Is it a membership program, or how does it work?
Yeah, so they pay a weekly membership and they're on this closed Facebook group, but they also get access to a portal. And the portal has absolutely every single tutorial that we've ever done on there. So Nathan will do Facebook ads 101 and you can opt into that and learn how to do your own Facebook ads. So everything's there for them all the time, but it's also a great community where they can say, hey, this is my marketing. What do you think? Hey, this is what I'm doing. Or yeah, it's amazing.
So,
we've had it for a year now. We love it.
speaking of having it for a year, you've also had Dance Circ for a year as well.
Yeah.
So Dance Circ is totally different. This is, you say it in your own words. From what I gather, though, it's a circus program that is licensed to studio owners. Is that correct?
Correct. So again, back in COVID time, I said to my friend, I was walking with her and I said, I really want to help these studio owners. I need something where they can make extra revenue in their studio when COVID comes back. And she was like, well, circus. Circus is the thing in your school that's so different from everyone else. Why don't you just sell that program? So then I was like, okay. So I put it all together.
Why not? Let's just do more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be honest with you. The first thing I did, and we've run the program in my school for 17 years, so I knew it worked. But the first thing I did was just put an ad out. Would people be interested, and booked interviews in? And I think I got like 20 interviews in a day. And then I was like, oh, this is a whole thing. So then we ran and started developing the program. So we have, 99 schools worldwide. I just signed 7 US schools, which is very exciting to me. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that's on selling other programs now. Now we've developed a flexibility and an acro program as well through that. So like I said, I've got great teams who are very enthusiastic, but I think having that extra revenue in your studio really helps.
That is amazing. Well done. Thanks. I mean, did you pitch things? Did you market it out to the US or that just came to you? Was it an intentional thing to be international at this early inception, or was it something that happened organically?
I've got a lot of friends in the US who are studio owners, so I've been chatting to them anyway. I did put some marketing into it and it didn't really get much traction, but then I found someone who was selling another program and I had a Zoom meeting with her about her program, and then I said, hey, can I tell you about my program now? Maybe we can help each other out. So it's all about building relationships. So now she's my US affiliate and she's the one who is helping over there by chatting to people, and because it's very hard with the US timing. So she's chatting to everyone over there. So I've got a webinar at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning because it's 1 p.m. their time. And we've got about 8 studios opting into that, and I'll tell them all about Dance Circ and then off they go. So
that is amazing. Well done. I mean, is there any challenges you're facing breaking into an international market? Is it different? Does the information have to be adjusted? Like, how do you manage that communication and that sort of business aspect of branching out?
Yes, so different. We can't supply their equipment to them. So in Australia, we supplied their equipment, but we can't do that in the US because it's a whole thing over there. They've got to get their own equipment. It's also that I'm known in Australia, because of Dance Principles United and because I've been in the industry for so long, everyone sort of knows me. So it was easy for me to create that market here. I'm not known over there, so they're not going to buy from me because there's no relationship there. That's why bringing the affiliate in was the key. She's a part of a really big studio owners group, so now she's marketing to her friends who trust her. And I think that's the hardest part about any market overseas is you've got to be trusted in their market, and that takes time, or it takes finding someone who's already trusted.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I mean, look, you've obviously got lots of moving parts here. And I can totally respect and understand that. I'm sort of the same. Well, not sort of, I am the same.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
I have a lot of moving parts, and I've got my talent agency, I've got my musical makers club, I've then got my personal brand and my private coaching and all the things.
All the things.
But I love hearing how others manage that. Like, how do you manage that in your world? You talked about delegation, but from a personal perspective, I mean, you're a mum as well.
Yep.
So how do you make that work in your life?
Yeah. I think prioritizing the thing at the time. So I go to the gym 4 times a week without fail. I will not go. my studio could be burning down and I will be at the gym. So prioritizing that within myself is really important to me. I'm going away this weekend with my family and I will not work. So, I think it's about prioritizing the thing at the time. I'm also extraordinarily organized. So every single Sunday I do 3 hours of meal prep. And if you see my fridge on a Sunday, there's lunch boxes with every single person's name on it for every time of the day, because I don't have time through the week to do that. And that also means that I can get up and go to the gym or go for a morning walk and I'm not food prepping. So things like that are so imperative. And then also when I get home, I can spend time with my kids, or in the morning I can spend time with my kids instead of, prepping food. So I have a house cleaner, for example, because I don't want to spend 4 to 6 hours a week cleaning my house, because I'm buying time. That's how I see my house cleaner. I'm buying time with my family.
Oh, totally. I've got a house cleaner too. Once a fortnight. I would love to up it to once a week, actually.
Yeah. I couldn't live without her. She's amazing.
I know. And every time they leave, I just go, oh, thank you. Thank you for cleaners. Thank you so much, universe, because it is like, it's a godsend, honestly. I think that's really important too, because I think as studio owners, or business owners in general, women, we put so much pressure on ourselves to get it all right. What you've just described to a lot of people would sound like a lot. So you're talking about the gym, food prep. I mean, this is quite what some people might view as a regimented thing. I mean, how do you even stay on top of that? I mean, is it just how you're inclined? Or because I know even myself, like I try to get out and do daily walks, but I'm not hardcore like you in the fitness space. I really think that's amazing. How do you manage that as well? Is it just something you love?
I haven't always been like this. So I've lost 17 kilos in the last 2 years.
Wow.
And I think what I've learned in the last 2 years about life is commitment is key. If you don't consistently commit to stuff, it's pointless. Like we all do the fad diet and we lose some weight and then we go back and do nothing. And then I am just so imperative to myself to be committed every single day to living the best life. And living the best life for me means staying fit and healthy for my kids, for everyone. And so that means I'm committed to it. I mean, we came back from that seminar with Amanda last weekend, and I got home at 8:30 at night, and I'd been presenting since, we got there at 7 a.m. So I'd been presenting all day, and I food prepped at 8:30 at night because I'm committed. It's a commitment. Like you've got to do it. Otherwise the whole week turns to poo.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just, I think that's what I've learned, is to just go, okay, I need to prioritize myself, because I got into that really dark space where like I said to you, couldn't stop crying. I don't want to go back there. So I had to change the way I was doing things, but I am loving it now. I love that I'm getting stronger. I did a PB on some weights the other day. So I love that side of it too. And I know.
What's a PB?
Personal best. So like
PB, great. Personal best. You know what I was thinking? Peanut butter.
I love it.
So, obviously we're in a little bit different space there in our minds.
Yeah, totally. But look, I've got a really great gym that I go to too. So I'm an F45 addict. And what I love about F45 is it's 45 minutes in and out. That for me is key.
You prioritize your time, right? So that's important as well. I love that. So tell me, you talked about bringing the dance circ internationally. You've talked about how it's been running for a year, but 17 years in your space. You also mentioned you have like 600 students. Are your students predominantly circus, or where does your client base lie within your studio? Like what's really attracting them to you guys, do you think?
I think definitely not. We have a huge musical theatre program. We've got a great ballet program. I think what attracts people to our space is that we don't sell dance, we sell confident kids. And I think when we changed that about our school, and it's not like we weren't always teaching that, we were, but we never told everyone about it. And so now we teach confident kids, and any client will tell you, any teacher, they all know what we're about. As soon as you walk in, creating confident kids. If you look at any of our posts, it's all about creating confidence. And that was the game changer for me. And that's when people started flocking to us, because we're selling a feeling instead of selling dance. People don't really care that much about dance. Most of them don't understand it. They just look at dance mums and think it's crazy. You've got to tell them why their child should dance rather than telling them I can create these amazing dances, you know. And we do have a really strong school. We've got about 40 who've gone on to professional careers now, but we're just not, we never promote that as much as we do the confidence side of things.
Yeah. And I think that's, I mean, it's a marketing technique, no doubt, but it's also your truth, right? This is about
100%.
your purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you can get that out to your community, whatever your purpose might be, you're going to change the way that people look at your school 100%. Because like I said, they don't really care. I didn't go to my little boys' swim school because they were all Olympic swimmers. I went there because people said it was an amazing swim school and the teachers were really kind and supportive.
Yeah, totally.
You know, it's that's what people want for their kids. Not everyone's going to become a professional dancer, but everyone can be affected in a positive way through dance and performing.
Yeah. Oh, like my son, he's only 5. He starts soccer this afternoon, and I couldn't care less about soccer.
No.
The reason I'm sending him there is because he's not very good with teamwork or knowing how to work with others. So I'm sending him there so he can learn the value of working in a team and how to lose equally to how to win.
Yeah,
he has to learn these things.
Yeah,
so it's got nothing to do, sport, fitness, soccer, great. It's not nothing to do with that, really. For me, it's about the emotional development for my son. So I completely connect to that as a parent, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So look, what is a tip that you might have for someone who's new to the space, is looking to start a studio, or perhaps is only a couple of years into being a studio owner? What's a tip that you would give them, or some advice?
Oh, so many things, Jo, that I could talk about it for an hour. I'm going to say, first of all, put systems in place and realize that it's a business. It's not a hobby. I think so many of us go into it thinking that it's because we loved it so much, we don't see it as a business. And I struggled for so many years where I was making no money and, just doing it for the love of it. And I don't think it should be about that, because we work really, really, really hard. My second bit of advice, and I know you said one, but I have to give two.
No, go for it.
would be, don't market to your peers. We all want to put that picture up because the kid looks perfect, or because look what I've created, this amazing child with this big kicking leg or whatever. Parents don't care about that. Market to your client. Don't worry about what the principal down the road is thinking about your marketing. Worry about what the parent down the road is thinking about your marketing. And that's exactly what I was just saying with creating confident kids. I'll put a kid on there with a bent leg and a feral foot doing a mount, because that's important for the clients to see that we don't care so much about that, but we're glad that that child has achieved something on that day, and that's the important thing. So I think that would be my 2 top tips.
I love that. And I actually did watch on your studio website your promo video that pops up. And I will admit, I noticed that. I saw a combination of kids that weren't the perfect dancers, or someone missing the spin, but they were having a great time. 100%. And then versus, you've seen your kids doing the high kicks and the splits and the leaps and I thought that's cool, because there was a variety of energy in what you were selling. And I actually, like, as a business owner and, colleague, I identified that. So I think that's actually really cool. Now, on the flip side of that, what sort of advice would you give to someone like yourself that's been in the game for a long time and is on the other side of it? They might be losing their momentum or looking to reinvigorate themselves. What would you say to someone who's been a studio owner for over a decade?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of studio owners like this, a lot, because they've done it for a long time, a lot longer than me, that's for sure. And they find it really hard as they get older to change and adapt, but you have to. The only way to stay fresh is to keep changing and adapting, and you've got to learn those ways or put someone in there who's got the enthusiasm to learn the new ways, because otherwise it's impossible. But educate yourself, that's the biggest thing that you need to do. Go to conferences, connect with other people. I think sometimes as studio owners we disconnect from people, especially as we get older, and that never works. You've got to put people around you who are going to inspire you. That's what I love about Dance Principles United. Everyone's inspiring each other all the time, and I think that's so important. But yeah, adapt and connect, that would be my two things.
Yeah, I think that's really cool what you just said about putting someone in that place if you can't do it. Don't be ashamed of that, right? I think so often we think we have to put all the weight on our own shoulders, but if you've got a studio that's chugging along and you need some like fresh eyes on it, get someone in. I love that. That's such a great idea, and I think more people should be doing that if they find themselves in a rut.
Absolutely. And look, you've got to spend money to make money. Sometimes you need to get that marketing company in and spend money with them to get numbers in. You can't be doing nothing and then expect people to just come into your doors, because I know that's how it potentially used to work, but it doesn't work like that anymore. Everyone's just on their phones on social media now. You've got to put that money behind it and get yourself out there. And look, sometimes just one of your younger staff members will be so gun at social media. Like, they will love it. They'll love doing the stories, the pictures, everything. So reach out to them. Sometimes they're your biggest asset, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so tell me, Rebecca, who or what inspires you?
Oh, so much inspires me.
Had a feeling you might say that.
I'm a big Gary Vee fan, and that's a bit controversial, I know. But what I love about him, and my partner and I always fight about this because he's so polarizing. But what I love about him is he's so real. And I really try to be real in life. I try to be honest. I try to have integrity, and I haven't always done that. So it's a really big thing for me to do that now. I think I love his journey. I love business journeys where they've started somewhere, like Tina. They've started here, and then you see that journey, and that story is just so amazing. So I love people like that. And I guess I'm inspired by the people around me because they come up with great ideas themselves. Like, I'll give you an example. One of my person who's developed Dance Circ with me, Emma, she was a student of mine since she was 5 years old, right? She came up to me and she was like, I've got a really great idea for a new preschool program. And I was like, no, we are not doing any more programs. My life is crazy as it is. We're not doing any more. She's like, just listen to me. So it's called Tumbletown, and the kids go on a different journey through a land. And as they go through the land, they do their different things. So if they go to Australia, the harbour bridge will be their bridges. And I was like, damn it, that's really good. Okay, let's develop it. And we developed it. So I think you can get inspiration from just the people around you. You don't always have to look to that higher level. I do. I love listening to podcasts and all of that stuff. But just the people around you can have amazing ideas. And if you can support them and foster that in them, you're going to grow as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. Tumbletown, I love that. I also noticed your little ones had shirts that said monkeys on them.
That's Dance Circ. So Dance Circ has little monkeys.
I love that because circus monkeys.
Yeah.
Genius, Rebecca. Genius. I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, that is so cute. I would love my kid to be a circus monkey. That is so good. So obviously you've got a lot of creativity going on there, and I love that you're being inspired by your team. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely can't take credit for all the creativity though, Joe. Like, it's a whole team thing. It's not just one person, and I think that's really important to acknowledge.
Yeah, how many people are in your team?
PAWS there's lots of different teams. PAWS, I've got about 30. Dance Circ, we've got about 10 of us. And then DPU is just the three of us. So yeah, that's my three teams at the moment.
Okay, amazing. So you've got lots of support around you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next for Rebecca? What's next for you?
I'm very specific with my goals. So I will get 1,000 Dance Circ schools in 3 years. I don't say I want to, because I believe in saying I will. PAWS is great. It's going really well. It's chugging along, and we keep growing, of course, but we're pretty happy with how that's settling and doing at the moment. Our entertainment company, we want to rebuild it now, obviously. And then DPU, we just want to reach as many studio owners as we can. I feel like that's probably the thing that I am really passionate about, because we're changing people's lives. It's things like, one of the studio owners who's been with us, Dee, used to work a full-time job as well as have the studio, and she was able to quit her full-time job at the beginning of this year to just run the studio. And she said to us, that's because of what we've been helping her with in Dance Principles United. So that for me is, changing people's lives like that is huge.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful legacy as well, isn't it? I love that so much. Okay, well, now if people want to find out more about you, where should they go?
Honestly, just Facebook is probably the best place to contact me. They can go to just my profile, Rebecca Liu Brennan, and inbox me. They can go to Dance Principles United, and especially if you're a studio owner, please come across to Dance Principles United. That's the free page. I'm actually doing a live just after this on preschool and just some tips on preschool. So we're constantly doing lives on there, and I'd love to reach as many people on that as I can. So that would be the best place to go.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I think there were some beautiful golden nuggets there that so many people are going to get takeaways from. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Bye.
If you enjoyed listening and would like to hear more, be sure to click subscribe. If you're really feeling the love, share us with your friends. To work with me or to simply find out more about the magic of creativity, arts and business, head to my website josephinelancuba.com, and you can find me on socials. I also have a book that I've co-written with a bunch of amazing entrepreneurial women called The Women Changing the World, and you can grab a copy of that at josephinelancuba.com/books. Thanks for listening.